You're listening to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is a program called Instant Zone, peak performance every day. And it's our pleasure, as always, to have in the studio Edmond Otis. How you going, Edmond?
Hey, I'm good, Ken. How are you?
Peak performance every day. I'm good. Thanks for asking, by the way. What does that mean, peak performance every day?
It means using your resources and staying calm enough and excited enough so you're able to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
It's less regrets on a day-to-day. You know, everybody's under stress. My background, I do a lot of stuff revolving sports psychology and performance. All those principles apply every day. You know, the same principles that apply to teams and sports and the All Blacks apply to businesses, you know, apply to families. The same principles that apply to how people, you know, deal well under stress applies all the way across.
Yeah. Now, today we're going to talk about setting goals because we're coming up to a new year, of course, 2020. But before we get there, we've just got a couple of questions we want to ask you from a psychological point of view. And
I love when you do this. Yes, bring it.
We were talking to someone earlier this week, and they said that if you want to be rich, only hang out with rich people. And I guess that crosses the spectrum, that if you want to be successful, being rich, I suppose, is being successful, only hang out with successful people. What's your opinion on that?
You know, I think there's some validity to that, although what you would think then is that all the waiters in those fancy banquet halls are going to end up rich.
Yeah. They don't get to talk to them, though.
Yeah. No, I think, you know, I think it goes to a deeper thing. I think people tend to do the same things that the people they're surrounding themselves with are. For example, off topic, but the same thing, there's a principle that says obesity is contagious. What that basically means, though, is that if you hang out with somebody who has obesity, you tend to adapt that same lifestyle. Mm-hmm. You know, that's why what they're doing right in health right now is they have groups of people involved in exercise. That seems to be very, very important. That makes sense. I mean, basically what that would mean, though, is you lead a lifestyle similar to what people who are wealthy do. Now, I don't think we're talking about, you know, billionaires or the royal family, you know, who have money no matter what they do. But you're talking about successful people. Perhaps if you hang out with successful people, you learn some of those attributes and those skills that you become more successful. You know, one of the principles we look at, you know, is if you want something different, do things differently.
Sure.
If you want what somebody else has, do what they do. If you don't want what they have, don't do what they do. So I believe that. I'll go with that.
Yeah. Interesting, that example that you used about hanging out with obese people, that you might become obese. You didn't flip the argument around and said if obese people hang out with skinny people, they become skinny. Why didn't you use that?
No. Well, the research showed that, but that's exactly the same thing, right? You know, if you want to change your lifestyle and if you want to become more fit, you hang out with people who are fit. Right? You don't hang out with people who say, oh, I wish I was fit. No, you join a club, you join a gym, you get involved with a walking group. You know, so it's the same thing. Right.
The other question we were having a chinwag about this morning was, and I guess you've heard of Rod McEwen, the famous poet. He wrote a fabulous song called Soldiers Who Want to Be Heroes. And we were just saying that, you know, most people, they want to live in peace and harmony.
Yes.
Why don't we have peace and harmony? I mean, even the generals and even the leaders of countries, they really do want peace and harmony. But why haven't we got peace and harmony, psychologically speaking?
Okay.
Oh, that's a big one.
Well, it's a big one, and I have a simple answer. It's because humans are pack animals and not flock animals. Sheep have peace and harmony. Wolves don't. Humans continually deal in terms of a hierarchy. You know, as we were just talking earlier, that's why, you know, socialism, for example, is a fabulous theory. It just doesn't work for people because people always want something a little more. They want to change it. Very few humans. Human nature is not to simply be satisfied with something. We think we want to be satisfied, but as soon as we're satisfied, most of us want something a little bit different. So what you see is, while it's doable for everybody to have enough resources and everybody to live in peace and everybody to have a reasonable income, that is doable, except for human nature. People always want something a little bit more. If I like what you want, you know, some of my family, we want to come and take that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, if you want to take that, you know, so that there is that. There's this continual struggle. And you see, you would think that humans are smart, clearly. You know, we can process the past, we can plan about the future. But you would think that we would be able to look back and learn from experience.
We don't.
We don't, and we can't. Every generation worldwide does the same dumbass stuff that we've always done.
Yeah.
You know, every generation has to learn over. So it's frustrating, but you know, it's exciting.
We know socialism doesn't work, and we know capitalism doesn't work. Why don't they work?
It's the struggle. Nothing works. It's about continual struggle and continual development. I mean, what does seem to work, if you look at the most successful economic societies, you end up in Northern Europe, and people give them a hard time. But Denmark and Norway, high level of success, people are very, very happy. You know, people who don't like them plant them as socialists, but they're not. Okay, but some things work better if you share. Some things work better if you encourage people to go on their own. You know, that's just human nature. You know, some people, but if you have pure socialism, if you look at the history of socialism, okay, you always end up with governments who are totalitarian, right? And there's nobody in the world right now trying to immigrate to purely socialist countries.
Indeed.
Everybody wants, there's none of that. Nobody's breaking in, right? Nobody's breaking in. On the other hand, you know, sadly, we just talked about this earlier, okay, the outcome or the nth degree of pure capitalism ends up as feudalism. That means you have control of the resources, you get to make as much money as you want. Feudalism is the extreme form of capitalism. Okay, if you go purely, whoever has the most money gets it aside.
Sure.
It seems that struggle in between. Okay, but then again, the problem is, and now we're doing political discourse, the problem is for a democracy to work and for government to work, people need to be engaged. You know, so
Yes.
the real problem is we have fewer and fewer people voting, and the people who are voting are more and more dogmatic. I can't imagine anybody wants to hear us talking about this.
No, I wonder, though, that I think if you drill down into people's psyche, most people, if they were truthful, they want to be well off, they want to be rich, they want to be capitalist, don't they, really?
No.
No one wants to be poor, do they? Be a socialist?
But that's different, socialist or capitalist. Most people want enough resources so they don't have to worry about it. Okay, I don't think most people go, oh, I want to be a capitalist. No, most people want a lot of resources. You know, and again, looking at health, turns out whoever has the most wealth is the healthiest. Right now, that's true if we have a lot of money, but in societies or primitive societies or other places where, you know, goats indicate wealth, whichever families have the most goats, those people live the longest. Okay, if it's fishing nets, whichever family has the most fishing nets, those people work the longest. So the question is, how do you work towards developing something where people have enough resources?
Yeah. Okay. So we really want to be rich, don't we? We all want to be rich. Yes, we do. Okay. Well, let's.
Wait. One more thing, even weirder. Going back to my thing, young people nowadays, in general, don't want to be rich. They want to be famous.
Yeah.
New research looks at that the number one goal of young people 25 and under, okay, internet, all that, their goal is they want to be a celebrity. They want to be famous.
But I think coming with that, of course, is being rich. I think if you think that you can be a celebrity, you want to be a rich celebrity, wouldn't you? You wouldn't want to be a poor celebrity.
Absolutely.
But also I think that with being young now, unlike, say, the likes of you and I, perhaps, I'm only speaking for myself really because I don't know you when you were young, but we didn't want everything immediately back then. We decided that we wanted a new leather jacket, and we worked for that leather jacket until we could afford to. But kids today, they want it now. Regardless of the cost, they want it right now.
Well, you know, it's the technology. I mean, I don't know if there's any way around that. I mean, you know, 100 years ago, it made sense for us to get up in the morning, go out to the well and pull the water up, you know, and bring it back in a bucket. Then, 50 years ago or 75 years ago, okay, maybe longer, we had running water inside.
Yeah.
Suddenly, you could say the same thing, we want the water now. Okay, but now there is this shortened time frame. The trouble is, what we seem to see also, and we may want to talk about this when we get to goal setting, is more and more people seem to have a shorter and shorter attention span. The main concern for me is we seem to have, related to what you're talking about, a shorter and shorter attention span and less tolerance for frustration. It's harder for more of us to concentrate long enough to do what we want to do and to get what we want to have. So we become real frustrated. You know, and again, a lot of that is it's artificial immediacy.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, if you can't send a message in 10 seconds on YouTube, no one wants to watch it.
Absolutely.
How crazy is that?
You're done.
Okay, setting goals. And why would we set goals? I think that probably, again, we talked about before, we said, what are we going to talk to Edmonds about setting goals? And we sort of said, well, most people are quite happy meandering along and not setting goals. Is that what you find?
You know, I work with a lot of people who actually set goals. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think one of the reasons I work either, with private clients or athletes or teams is they come to me specifically because they want to develop the skills they need to achieve the goals they want to achieve. The work I do at EIT, same kind of thing. I spend more time with the good students who really want to accomplish something and work on something, and that's real satisfying. Some people are very, very happy. More importantly, though, I think as opposed to being happy and satisfied, a lot of people aren't really aware or think in terms that they can actually change their situation, right? And that comes out of sports psychology. If I want to win the belt, if I want to win the trophy, if I want to cross the line first, I have goals of what I want to do and how I need to do it.
Why is that, though? I mean, when people come to see you, you thought your job's half done for you already.
Yes.
Not that you're a slouch or anything like that and you want an easy street, but...
I do want easy street, I am.
But the job's half done because these are people who probably will be successful. They just want you to guide them in the right direction. But what about the 95% of the other people who don't come and see you? What's inside their head that they don't want to come and see you?
Well, they don't know about it, first of all. But again, there has to be a realization, a light has to go off that, I would like things to be different. I want a little more of something. I want something better, and regardless of what it is, it's people are, lazy. It's maybe I work too hard. I don't spend enough time with my family. That's a real reasonable goal.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't do anything to develop myself. Maybe I just never relax. Or maybe, I hate my job, or maybe I'm in relationships I don't like. Anything you look, I think of a goal in this sense as soon as you decide, I wish things were different, in a sense, you've established a need for a goal. You just need the reason to go, what can I do to make it different?
Yeah, okay.
And then that's the part I'm interested in.
You're calling it a goal, and as we're listening to this program or watching it on YouTube, we're in January, and most people would call it making a New Year's resolution.
Resolution.
It's all doomed for failure, isn't it?
For some people.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you set the bar low enough, you can be very, very successful. No, people want things different, and people set resolutions. What I'm interested in is the process of how you make those resolutions come through.
How do you do it? How do you start the process? What is it?
Well, one of the things that we look at, and I look at, and some of it is research and some of it is just look around, is a lot of people set a goal or a resolution with, I want to be happy.
Yeah.
Okay. I always encourage as many clients as possible, whether I'm doing psychological stuff or motivational stuff, that's not a goal. Happiness, everybody wants to be happy, but that's kind of somewhat mood-based. But let's say that's your goal. But most people go, I want to be happy, I'm just not happy, I don't know what to do, I'm not too happy. As we've talked about numerous times when we've done other shows, my entire perspective is what we call behavioral-based, I think in terms of behavioral psychology. Okay, so the most natural thing I would do, and some of your listeners may want to think of this, if you wake up in the morning and say, I want to be happy, the second question is, okay, if I was happy, what would I be doing?
What is happy?
That isn't the point. Okay, if I was happy, what would I do? Well, maybe if I was happy, I'd spend more time with my family. Maybe if I was happy, I'd go on a vacation. Maybe if I was happy, I would just work out a little bit more. I would do something different. What I encourage people to do is to jump ahead. Okay, if you were happy, whatever that means, what would you do? What I ask them to do is go ahead and do that. But I don't care if you feel like it. I'm telling you, if you tell me, I want to have more control over my time and I want to feel better about my life. And I said to you, well, Ken, if you wanted to feel better about yourself, what would you do? Well, God damn it, I'd spend more time with my family. I would say, let's forget about how you feel. And why don't you spend more time with your family this week? I encourage people to do the things they would do if they were the person they wanted to be.
Okay, like I said to you a lot of times, what you say sounds just easy to do. It's not that easy, though, is it?
No.
And I guess inside your head you might have all these ideas, but there's more to that process of having
Absolutely.
a goal, isn't there?
Absolutely.
What's the next step?
Well, the next step is doing what we do naturally in other things. A lot of people set goals. And again, as I've said, I think in every show we've ever done together, okay, a lot of things I talk about are simple, but they're not easy.
No,
right?
exactly.
We recognize that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Zen thing. One simple thing takes years to develop.
Yeah.
The other thing we do is, what a lot of people don't do, we notice this, is they don't do what I think of as sequential goal setting, right? So let's say I hate my job. The implication there is I would like a new job. Oh, I don't know what to do. It's going to be hard to get a new job. The question is, if you really wanted a new job, what would you do first?
That's a good point that you raised there. Saying, what would I do? How will I get a new job? And most people at that point was, I better stick with what I got.
It's too frustrating, right? Yeah. So the thing is you want to do is break it down. And I have a good friend in the U.S. who does the same kind of thing I do. He works with corporations. And he's a big believer in to-do lists. Okay, he encourages all people to do a to-do list. But his main thing is no to-do list should be longer than 3 points.
Yeah.
Right? So you just go out and what is the most important thing I could do? People are really good at goal setting. Set goals, they could be big goals, and then they're really, really good at saying, what should I do first? They spend most of their energy on that. You know, the analogy I may have used here is always, you know, if you're going to go on a trip, you know, you have your this thing, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Turn on Maps, Google Maps tells you what to do. There's the whole chart and this, and it's 1,000 kilometers. I'm going to go here. Voice comes out of here. All it tells you is what to do next. Okay, if you can do it on this. So for goal setting, the number one thing we see for people who are successful, they set big goals. But then they're also really good at saying, what's the very first thing I need to do to move me towards that?
Yeah, what is that?
Depends. What would be a goal of yours? Make it up. Make it up. Say you're somebody else and you have another goal.
Well, okay, say I want to be. I want to be the most famous broadcaster in New Zealand.
Okay. If you aren't you?
Well,
what are we doing here?
Someone else might want to be the most famous.
Okay.
I have to step down. I want to be the second most famous.
Let's say that was really your goal. Let's say that was really your goal.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you would do?
Well, I would probably think: is this a place that I'm going to? Are people going to be aware of me here? Because we're like a little fish in a big pond.
Okay. Besides, then what is the first thing you would do?
Yeah, I'll get my message out there. I'll go to someone who.
Specifically, what would you do?
Oh, I don't know. Tell me what I should do.
Well, I don't know your business, but I would think you might put together a
CV.
Put together a CV, and you might put together a sample tape, and you might look at the radio stations that host the biggest radio celebrities, and you might make a cold call. You know, this is Ken. I work at this radio station, and I'd like to come in and see you. I've done this, and here's a CV, and here's my tape. I'd like you to listen to it.
Yeah,
maybe
that's right.
Okay, but what is the so the first thing you would do? Put together a CV, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe first thing you would do is make a few phone calls. Maybe the first thing you would do is you put together a sample tape. Now, if you do that, I hope you feature a lot of me.
Yes, you'll be the first person on my show.
Yeah, because I want to be at the biggest radio show in New Zealand.
Yeah, but I think what you're saying, though, is that is a sign of what a successful person, someone who wants to be successful, they will do that, won't they? They'll say, okay, well, my destiny's in my own hands. If I don't knock on that door, no one's going to open it, are they? They're going to find someone else who does send them that stuff. But
it's the sequential.
Yeah, it is the thing.
I mean, you know, we're making it sound big, but you know, it's silly. I mean, we do this all the time. Alarm goes off. My goal, if you want to call it that, I got to get to work.
Yeah, some people do it all the time. Not all people do it.
No, but we do it all the time for this. For example, anybody who goes to work, alarm goes off or they wake up, what's the first thing I should do? Well, I should go to the toilet.
Yeah. What's
the second thing I should do? I should get some. We do that. I need to get dressed before I leave the house. People who just sit there and wish, oh, I wish I was at work. They don't have jobs to go to. I can't help them.
But yeah, I suppose that's the point, isn't it? It's all very well saying, well, decide what you want to happen, then write it down, tell someone.
I didn't say that. Do the first thing you need to do.
Okay, well, doing the first thing, it could be writing down what you want to happen. Then when you go?
Then you do the first thing on your list.
Yeah.
It's doing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's easy, but people who are good at achieving their goals, having the life they want to do, they do something.
Yes, they do. But there was always going to be the successful people. They're the doers.
Yes.
And their battle is half won just by doing what they're doing.
Yes.
The rest of us, we're just
start doing something.
Yeah, we could start doing something.
And that would make them successful.
I think it does become too difficult. Most people go, oh my God, they roll their eyes and think, let's just get on with our life because...
Which goes back to the very first abstract question you brought up a while ago. I can't help that. But what I am saying is, but here's the thing I think I'm saying. For a lot of people who, and I see this all the time, a lot of people have lost track or aren't aware that they're able to do that. It isn't that they don't want to, isn't that they don't have the strength. It just hasn't occurred to them yet.
What kind of world do you think?
I see that all the time. I see that, people, I want to be more successful. And literally, and I'm not saying, or I want my business to do better, or I want to have better, relationships at work, or, I want to be more influential. And, okay, we set that out, or we figure out what would that look like. You identify what it would look like, and I go, what's the first thing you should do? And honestly, it isn't that they don't want to do it. It's never occurred to them. But once it occurs to them, it's not that difficult.
What sort of world would it be, do you think, if everyone did exactly what you're saying?
Well, I think
how different would the world be?
I don't know, it'd be a hyped up version, but a lot of people like where they are.
Yeah.
We did a show a long time ago about secondary gain.
Yeah.
There's a secondary gain of not being successful. There's a secondary gain for some people about being unhappy. Some people that fits them, but we can't do all that. But what I'm interested in for your listeners or anybody, if you really do want to make things different than they are, it really is doable.
Would it be utopia if we all thought that way?
Oh, I don't know. You're on a philosophical slant today. It might be, or it might be hell.
Is it possible, even?
No.
To have a society like that where we're all go-getters, and then all of a sudden then we're saying, well, no, he's got the job I want.
No, but you're assuming, though, that everybody wants that. Okay? I don't assume that everybody wants to go to the...
I know I'm a realist. I know everyone doesn't want it.
There's wonderfully happy people.
Yeah.
Who are happy because they have a steady job. Everybody, a friend of mine does some research around leadership and stuff. We talk all the time. You're assuming, for example, if you're on a boat and your boat goes down and we all swim to an island, and there's 20 of us on a deserted island, that there will be a fight for who's going to be in charge. That's not true. One person will end up being in charge, and we'll all try to work it. Being happy does not mean you're wealthy or successful. It just means you find a place, you create a life, or you accept what you have in a way that you find satisfaction.
But someone would end up being the leader in those 20 people.
Someone is always the leader.
It'll be a natural leader show, and then we'll be happy with that.
Yes, because that's natural, because we're pack animals.
Yeah.
And in a different environment, somebody else might be the leader.
There's no way there's never going to be a leader, though, is there?
We're pack animals. And by leader, what that means is there's always individuals in any given environment who exercise more influence over others than somebody else. And there's a variety of reasons for that.
There's always a hierarchy, isn't there?
Always a hierarchy.
Even in socialism and communism, there's
always a hierarchy.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily flat. Lately we do different things. There's a flat hierarchy. Even in democracy, right? Everybody has an equal vote. But that's true. But the truth is, one of the main reasons we have a democracy is for someone to select someone who's going to tell us what to do in an emergency.
Yeah.
Right? That's what a democracy is.
Well, not even just an emergency. They tell us how to live our lives, how much tax we're going to pay, where we can go, what we can do, who we can go and see.
Yeah, and theoretically, we've bought into that.
Yeah.
But, in any situation, there's always someone, you and your mates are in town, or my wife and her girlfriends are in town, and somebody goes, oh, I'm hungry, and somebody goes, I know, let's go to that place.
Yeah.
Now, is that leadership? Everybody goes, oh, that's a great idea. It isn't onerous.
You become part of the flock then, though.
But there's always that.
Yeah.
But it changes back and forth.
Indeed, it does. We're out of time.
Sometimes you talk about standard things as if they're evil and Machiavellian. No, it's just the way it is. Anyway.
That's right. Just remind our listeners, want to come and see you for some help, where are you?
Easiest is I'm online, obviously, edmondotis.co.nz. You can call me 021-275-0226.
As always, our pleasure. You look after yourself. Talk to the same time, same place next time.
Happy New Year.